Now we want to look at choosing between more than two options. So we know about if, else, okay, but that's only for two options. In life, there are cases where you have more than two choices. So let's see how we can write code that takes into account multiple choices. So for that, I will introduce you the elif construct. So elif is just a short way of saying else if. Okay. So what I want to do, we're going to write a program that asks the user to enter a color. Okay. And if the user chooses red, green, or blue, okay, then uh, we want to print some statement. Okay, so if they print, if they type red, we want to do something. If they type green, we want to do something else. And if they type blue, then we want to do a third thing. Okay, so for that, we're gonna say, okay, let's ask for user input. So user color will be input, enter color. Okay, I'm using double quotes for this one just because I want to. Okay, so now let's test for the color entered. Okay, and I am assuming that the person is entering one of the colors. Okay, so if user underscore color is equal to red, then I want to print I love the color red. Okay, now what happens if the person enters green? Well, for that I'm going to say elif. Okay, so I'm going to say elif user color is equal to green, then I want to print I like to eat peas, green peas. Okay, now what happens if the person enters blue? Well, then I would say elif user color is blue, then I will print cheer up. Okay, great. So notice I have three options, and similar to the if else construct, only one of these will be true at any given time. So Python will test this. If it's true, it will print line 12. But if this turns out to be false, then Python will go to the next condition, which happens to be on line 13. So it will check, is it green? Now if this turns out to be true, then it will print this line, which is on line 14. But if this is false, it will jump to line 15 and check to see if it is blue. If this is true, it will print line 16. Otherwise, it will not print anything. So let's have a look at this. Enter color. Let's say I enter pink. Nothing happens, right? Because this is false, and this is false. Okay, let's try again. Let's enter red. It prints I love the color red. Once this is true, it will not look at 13 or 15. Okay, so the thing that you must remember about these conditionals, when you have an if along with an elif, only one of them will ever be executed. And which one is it? The one that happens to be true first. Okay? Okay. Let's try again. Let's use green. Okay, and it says I like to eat green peas. So why does it print 14? Well, simple. Because when Python checked the user color, it was not red. So this was false. So now it came and it checked, is it green? And that is true. So it printed line 14. Great. Let's try it one more time. And let's put blue. And of course, it prints line 16. Now, what would happen if I type red? Nothing happens. So you might be asking, isn't red red? Well, in programming, no. Notice I am checking for capital R, red, but I entered small r, red. Okay, so if you notice, if I try this again and I type red, doesn't work either. If I type R with a E and a capital D, doesn't work either. So the only way it will work is if I enter the letters exactly as they are being checked for. Of course, that's not a very flexible program. So what we do whenever we have some text that we are looking for, we try to make that text be in a standard format. So what I will do, okay, I am gonna take these and I'm gonna make them into small letters. Okay, small red, small green, small blue. And what I'm gonna do here, before I check the colors now, I will take this color and I will convert it to make sure that it is in small letters. So for that, I'm gonna say user color will be user color. Notice that lower. Okay, lower is a function, and you remember what I said about function? They take parentheses. So what does this lower function do? It simply takes the variable, the value that is inside this variable, and makes it into small letters. So once I have done that, I want to save that into another variable, into the same variable. But not to confuse you, I'm going to save it in a new variable. So let's call this lower user color. So I'm going to change this to lower user color. Okay, lower user color, lower user color. Now, in many programs that you might read or you might see on YouTube, they might just put that new lower color back into the old variable. Okay, but we don't have to do that. We can create a new variable. Okay, so keep that in mind. It's always nice to create new variables when we have the option to do so. Now, let me give you a quick look at how the lower works. Let's say I have a string called x and it contains limpid. Okay, let's make it limpid. Okay, so if I do x, limpid has a capital L. But if I say x dot lower, notice what happens. Everything is in small letters. Now, this is the tricky part. So remember, if I type x again, it's still the original string that I typed. So the only way to change the string is to convert it to lowercase and then save it in a variable. Okay, let's say lower x is that. So now if I say lower x, it's that. Okay, if I want to make it into uppercase, I could say x dot upper. Okay, and let's see what happens. Upper x. And what does upper x give me? It's in all capital letters. Okay, so by converting the user input to some standard case, then I know I only need to check for that case. Okay, I only need to check for that case. I don't have to check to see if the blue has a capital B or has a small b or has a capital L or has a small l. No, all I need to check is to see if the lowercase version matches this lowercase version. Alright, so that's one of the things we do when it comes to programming. We try to make sure that the user input is standardized so that when we test it, we have a good chance of getting our program right. Okay, so let's try again. Now, let me enter capital red. It works. Let me enter small red. It works. Let me mix the case. R-E-D. That works too. So it doesn't matter which case I use. Okay, I could say capital R, small e, capital D. It works. Okay, so that's one thing to keep in mind. It makes sense that if you're going to compare user input and that input is a string, you should convert that input to either lowercase or to uppercase. Okay, great. So in the next video, I will take this code and we'll look at it in Python tutor. I'll see you then.